And good afternoon, good evening. How's everyone doing? Happy, blah. What a way to start. Um, Happy Thursday. Welcome to Thursday Live. Today we're going to be working on a 30 millimeter shell from an A10, which will be a lot of fun. We started it on Monday night on the live feed on Facebook. If you were there, you'll be able to get to see some of the corrections. We'll talk about, some of that. I only have about an hour today that I can put aside for this. I've got a project in which the timeline was moved up quite drastically by no one's fault really, but I want to be able to get that done as quickly as possible. So it's going to be a lot of long nights and that kind of thing, but it wasn't going to affect today's other than the overall time. We'll just do about an hour today. So I hope you're doing well. We got a little bit of show and tell, and we'll get right to it. So let's get right to it. I'm going to try this one today. So I moved this camera. This camera was up in the back before, but now it's a little bit closer. So I'm thinking that's going to be better for show and tell, and that way I don't have to jump back and forth between lenses, because I can use the big lens, the macro lens, for what's going on here. Yup. Okay. Excellent. All right, so let me jump to this so I can say hello to everyone who's on. Come on now. There we go. Much better. Excellent. Okay. Yeah, so let me show you what we got. I'll show you real quick, and then we'll jump right to it since we have a little bit of a limited time today. Cody Adams, what's up, buddy? Ooh, that I know what's going on. I thought I turned down all the volumes. I got to make sure I do that. All right. So real quick, I'll just show you the 543s from this week. Our friend Steve in Australia won. So we're going to be getting his out today, but I'll show you what we got. So the first one was the, I don't want to do this. Oh, I got to find the camera now. It's up here. So first one was the Snow Leopard, which was fun. This is how that one came out. Han Solo's Blaster, which is this one. It's a lot of fun too. JC, what's up? Lewis, what's up? I keep calling you Marshall because that's what I see first. This is the one that Steve picked. And actually, Steve also suggested this one too, the Redback Spider. This is part of my Everything in Australia Will Kill You series. So that's the Redback Spider and the Crystal Skull. You can see these on Facebook as well. I posted them on Facebook. It's a Crystal Skull. And finally, the Komodo Dragon from Indonesia. So there's that. And then last but not least, this, I mentioned this last week. This is the Leahy Speed Shop painting. So this is on my site. If I'm going to keep painting these for as long as people want them. And this is how you get them. They come unframed, but they come in a cool little, the cool little folder. And this is on ampersand board, and that's how that all came out. So that's all my show and tell. So let's get right to it. Everybody does it. I know, because it's, I don't know, I see Marshall and that's what I think. I know it's automatically what I go to. All right, so here it is. This is Robert O'Malley's 30 millimeter shell. These things are cool because it's got a plastic, actually, the actual business end of this is plastic, which is really neat. The shell itself, the shell itself is real. This is a 30 millimeter shell. So it gives you an idea of what this airplane shoots, which is pretty insane. And what we started to do is put this A10 on it. So we'll just jump in right from where we left off. I know from where this one's at and what it needs that I'm not going to be able to get it done on this feed because we only have about an hour. But we'll be able to do some fun stuff with it. We'll be able to address a few things. So let me now do that, and we'll switch to this. Here we go. Astral, what's up? Here we go. All right, and Dan, what's happening? All right, and I will lighten this up a little bit so you guys can see what's going on. There we go. Yeah, so this is good. The double camera setup is nice because now I'll be able to pretty much leave this macro lens on for stuff like this. I think that's going to work out really well. All right, so first thing we're going to do, if you were here Monday, what had happened was the stencil that I used was kind of off. You can see that gap between these hard points on the wing and the actual leading edge of the wing. So what happened was this black template was down too low. And when I put it in, that's what happened. So I could try to fix it, and it would take a lot of adjusting. It's easier to just respray it and put it in where it should be. So that's what we're going to do. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of the templates. It doesn't really matter which one. I just need the wing out of it. So I'm going to cut the wing out. And again, we're going to see how far we can get in an hour. I wish I could show you the project that I'm working on. I will be able to show it to you all after it's done and delivered, or, you know, reasonably after it's done and delivered. But I can't really, I've been asked by the owner not to post it or show it until it's where it should be. So, all right, so there we go. So I got the little wing here. Whoa, dropped it. And I'm going to put a little bit of there we go, a little bit of tape on it. I've got a bunch of tape on, you see it up here, a little bit in the corner. So I got a bunch of tape kind of laid out because this shell is aluminum. So the magnets don't stick to it. So I need to use tape for all the stencils. Just kind of a drag. It would have been really, really nice if this shell was steel and the magnets worked on it. It would have made life so much easier, but can't always get what you want. So I'm going to line that up and then just drop the piece of tape on there. I'm really only concerned about the front edge of this. That's why I don't have to worry about the tape. If I was trying to do the whole thing, I would make tiny little loops of tape and put them underneath this and then just stick it on. So that's the way that would go. Bobby Silva, what's up, buddy? I'll try to hit everyone as they come in. If I miss you, please say hello again so I catch you. All right, what I'm going to do next, now the background is really easy. It's Autoborn Sealer Gray. And I keep a lot of Autoborn Sealer already pre-mixed and ready to go. They recommend 10% reduction with 4011. So since I basically base everything under the sun with this stuff, this is an 8-ounce bottle. So I mix about 4 ounces at a time, and that usually keeps me going. So everything, like I said, everything is covered in that. The 543s, the ampersand boards, you name it. Now, I need to be kind of strategic with this. So the way I originally sprayed this was with the here we go, was with this Revolution, sorry, the Eclipse. The reason why I immediately snapped to Revolution is because what I've done with this Eclipse, which normally has a 3.5 in it, I swapped out all the parts with a bottle feed Eclipse, which makes this gravity feed now a 0.5 millimeter brush. So this is perfect for doing stuff like this, where I need to keep that base coat sealer kind of at its strength. I don't want to over reduce it when I do this. So I use this gun to kind of spray that in originally. But this time I just want to get like right where those hard points are, the mistakes. So what I'm going to use for that is Mike Learn's Rich Pen Mojo, or Mobro, sorry. This is a 0.3 millimeter airbrush. So in this instance, I am going to have to reduce this Autoborn Sealer a little bit, because at 10%, it's too thick to go through this brush. I mean, it will, but it'll be really gravelly. So I know you can't see it, but I'm just going to put a couple drops in the bottom here. I just don't want to do this over that thing. So I got a couple drops in there now. And then I just add a couple drops of 4011 just to loosen it up a little bit. That's good. So this will just let it spray through the brush. I'm not worried about, what I was worried about originally when I sprayed this on here was adhesion. So you want to keep the Autoborn Sealer at its proper reduction when you spray it. That's the way it works the best. If you over reduce it, then it doesn't stick, and it's not a good thing. Now with the paint, it's a different deal, because the paint is actually going on the Autoborn Sealer. So you can't over reduce that, because not only is it allowed to soak into the Autoborn Sealer a little bit, but it's also going to get a clear coat on it. So now for this, because I've already got Autoborn Sealer on here, all I'm doing is using this to cover those black areas. If you guys have any questions, just shoot them out. I'll try to make sure I hit them. All right, so we're going to hold this down with meat skewer so it's in the right spot. And I'm just going to really lightly build up layers until all 4 of those little mistakes are done. So you can see why I need a little bit more control. If I just hose it down, I'll get base coat sealer all over the jet, or I'd have to try to mask this off, and that's a drag. So in this case, I just kind of go with a brush that can pull off a little bit tighter detail, but still be able to move the sealer. Now, obviously the sealer is the same color as the sealer that I used for the background. So it's a pretty easy fix. Now see how fast that happened? It's pretty much done. That's all I need. All right, since I have this in the brush, if you were here Monday, this is what I'm talking about with the sealer. So this sealer is meant to be, they call it edge to edge. So what you do is if you have a panel, it's designed to be sprayed exactly the same thickness, exactly the same layers, and it just edge to edge. There is no fade. What I've done here is I've faded it into the background of the actual shell. When you do that, you compromise its ability to stick, and that's what happened here. So again, it's not a big deal because I have it in the brush. I'm just going to kind of go over that section. You know, concentrating on those little hits first to fill them in. And then just pushing out the fade so it covers them back up. Now I thought I did it, but apparently I didn't because it's scratched. But what I should have done is after I did this original gray area, I should have hit the whole thing with UVLS satin all the way out like an inch beyond, like out here. That would have held everything in, and then I wouldn't have got those scratches. Apparently I didn't, so. I missed Monday. Was this an HC stencil, paper stencil? Oh, good question, Louis. There was all paper stencils. I'll get them out in a second. Well, that's one of them right there for the wing. So yeah, it was all paper. So I'm going to leave that in the brush. I'm just going to put a cap on it because there's a chance I might need it again, and it's better to, since it's already in the brush and I'm not going to use that brush for anything else, I'll just leave that all in there in case there's any kind of other repairs that I can do during the bit. Okay, yeah, so Louis, this was all. Oh, and if you were here Monday, I finally got my printer back online. What a crazy, dumb thing that was. So yeah, so it's just photocopies that I made. From this photo is from the Air Force's website on the A10. It's right on the front page. All right, so now I can find that template again. Hopefully. Nope. I don't know what happened to it. All right, so I'll just cut it again. No big deal. I was looking for the original template that I used for those hard points, but I don't know where it went. And by the time I find it, it's just going to be quicker to cut them out. So the other thing I'm going to add to this, and this is, one of the cool things about just kind of having time. Like I knew I wasn't going to work on this at all during the week because I wanted to do this on Thursday with you guys. I got a chance to, kind of sit back and look at it and make some decisions. So originally I wasn't going to do anything with the background, but I think I'm going to put some clouds in, just some really faint kind of puffy clouds. This original, the photo, you're looking down on it so you can actually see the ground rushing by, which I also thought about doing, but then I thought, clouds will probably look a little bit nicer. So that's what I was thinking with that. James McLean, what's up, buddy? All right. So the A10 is one of my favorite planes. It's easily the Air Force plane that I've painted the most. It's just an incredible plane. So in talking, I did the dog tag a little while ago, and then it's funny. Bob O'Malley had a couple of these shells. What I didn't realize is you can get them pretty much without a problem. So that was interesting. All right, so there we go. So I've got all the hard points. I know that's kind of blurry, but it'll make sense when I get it on here. So now I can take the time and actually get this in the right spot. I think I was rushing a little bit on Monday to make some headway on it, and that's why I got in the wrong spot. However, that being said, I mean, this whole jet is what, 2 inches across, inch and 3/4 across. So if you're off a little bit on anything this scale, you're off a lot. So there is that too. Oh, I'm glad you didn't, James. Welcome. If you're in the UK and you're cheering, that makes me happy. If you're in the US and you have today off and you're cheering, I'm not recommending you should cheer at work because that's a bad look. But Cheers to you all. I've water today because, again, I have got that giant thing that I'm trying to get done. And a beer in the afternoon makes me sleepy. So, all right. So again, no magnets on this because of the aluminum shell. So I got to tape everything. So what I'm going to do is you put the tape over the area, roughly over the area that you have cut out because of the curve on it. So now I'm just going to make sure this is lined up so we don't have the same thing happen again. Hopefully I'll cheer with you guys Monday on Monday Night Live. Hopefully that. I don't think the project I'm working on is going to be done by Monday. There's a lot of miles on it, but if it is, I'll definitely cheer with you then. All right. So I'm going to be using black, opaque black. And for the most part, this is, all the black is over reduced on this stuff. So mostly with the this Micron B and C, my go-to mix on this is about 1 part paint to 10 parts reducer. Again, I talk about it all the time. It's way, way over the reduction that they recommend. So don't take that to heart. It's really, the paint is individual for each brush. So if you have like an Eclipse CS, you're not going to need to use 1 to 10. 1 to 10 would be ridiculous. You'd get better results out of having it thicker, less reduction. So take it all with a grain of salt. But with this brush, that reduction really works well. So we'll get those hard points back in there. Again, if you guys have any questions, let me know. What I really should do, since I can do that, 2 seconds here. I'm just going to move my tablet over so I can actually see the comments. That would be nice. Here we go. Bring me the comments. Excellent. There we go. Now we're set. Steve, there we go. Simon Carter, what's up? I'm doing really good. Doing really good. All right, we're still focused. We're good. Okay. All right. Yeah, see, that's much better. That's all lined up, so we're good. All right, so where I left off Monday was I had jumped to the paintbrush, and that's gonna do that. I'll jump to the paintbrush, and we're gonna kind of pick up where we left off. I think that's a good idea. All right. All right, excellent. Cheers from Simon. Love it. Yeah, back to the, Lewis, back to the HD stencil. I think that might be, I've never had an HD stencil that small. And since a lot of this is not freehand, meaning it's a lot of paintbrush and a little bit of airbrush, I find that I love the HD stencils when I'm working more freehand, like the Harley painting. Like there are only general cutouts for that, like when I don't want to get paint everywhere. But for this, it's more than blocking off. It's more for the cutouts really help to lay things out the right way. Yeah, it is, James. That's it. Yeah, JC, we just were talking about that. Yeah, exactly. It has to be under reduced. It's more for the brush than for the painting. If I'm using that B, everything's over reduced for it. It just has to be. That's just the way it needs to work. All right, so let's start getting some of the stuff in. So I need the big copy. And this is gonna be tough for you to see because we can't get it all in, but that's the photo I'm working from. So I talk about this a lot. I'll keep a bigger copy of it here, but for the most part, I try to use it only as as kind of a, what is this reference? What I try to do is I try to keep a small copy nearby, and that's my real reference, because that way I'm not adding stuff that you normally couldn't see, because that's what makes them look not real. It makes them look fake if you start jamming extra information in there, which in a way makes the small paintings easier because you can, take stuff out, but it also makes it harder in a way because you have to decide what to take out. So there we go. So there's the photocopy. That's what I've been using for templates, but that'll also be my reference. So I think we'll tape that somewhere right on the shell. That way I can see it. I'll tape it. I know you guys can't see it. It's going to be up above here, but I don't want to run the risk of getting any overspray. Hey, actually, it doesn't really matter because I'm going to, yeah, it doesn't matter. It's up there. I can just sand it off. There we go. Okay, that's good. All right, back to it. Where did I leave off? I was fixing up the cockpit now. Excuse me. I haven't talked to anyone all day. So when I first turned on the camera, you guys are the first people I've talked to. So go from not talking to anyone to nonstop. Let's get you guys as close as we can get. That might be fun. And then I'll focus. That's better. Okay, now you guys can really see what's going on. All right, paintbrush. Nobody. Oh, that's interesting. What I'm thinking about doing is Robert gave me one shell as well. So what I'm thinking about doing is somewhere down the road to replace the actual, you know, the head of it. It's plastic right now, but I'm thinking about carving something out of, you know, a similar thing, but out of hardwood, and then replacing mine. And then, like I said, Robert wanted his all kind of original and banged up, but I think I'm going to do all the body work on it and smooth it all out and clear it and have something kind of cool. All right, so let's turn on this. Yeah. I replaced the parchment on this too, so we're back in business. All right, so let me grab some black since it's on the palette. And we will keep going with this now. So now it's just a matter of getting a lot of the little tiny details in, and that's kind of how it works. So I'll paint in, you know, the dark details and paint in any of the really light highlights. And then there's a little bit of shading, you know, airbrush shading that goes on it. And that's pretty much going to wrap it up. No, I mean, like I said, I make it sound really simple, but there's a long way to go before there. But that's kind of the marching order from this point on. So I had a bunch of interesting fun facts about the A10. So we'll just continue on with that. So one of the cool things about the A10 is what I'm painting right now is it's the housing for the landing, one of the landing gears on the wings. So the wheels don't retract all the way into this little pod right here. The bottom of them sticks out, and that's an old B-17 bomber trick. So say they, this plane is designed to be shot at and designed to be hit by bullets as well. So say it gets to the point where the pilot can't lower the landing gear, you can actually land this plane on its belly, and it does a lot of damage, but the pilot will still be safe. It's kind of a neat trick. Again, that's if you look at a B-17 bomber, the wheels kind of stick out the same way. Okay. So what I'm going to do is you guys can, I need to lower this a little bit because you guys realize you're bouncing around here. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bounce around on this. One of the reasons I do that is just it keeps me entertained in it. Like if I'm doing one part of this, and I talk about this in the Harley painting a lot, if I find I'm doing one thing over and over and over and over again, it's hard not to get, you know, not to get bored, you know, not to lose your enthusiasm. So by bouncing around to different things, it helps to kind of keep my interest in it. And for me, it kind of passes the time a little bit nicer too. Like if I work on one part and I look at the rest of the jet and I'm like, oh, I have so much more to do on this and all this stuff. But if I bounce around, by the time I get done with, you know, like one section, all the other sections have already been pushed as well. So it's like not as bad, I guess. And it's nice that this is black and white. Essentially the jet is gray anyway. So even if I did this in color, it'd still be the same thing. And the reason why that's nice is because, like, for instance, that little line I just did on the horizontal stabilizer in the back. Oh, I need white. If it didn't come out right, which that didn't, it's not thin enough, I can just kind of drop some white on there and keep going until it's correct. I talked to Scott McKay this morning, which was fun. Catch up with him. I haven't talked to him in a while. And currently he is planning on doing his feed tonight. He's got a crazy bike project that he's working on. So hopefully he gets that under control and he can get his feed rolling tonight on cue or on time, I guess. So. All right, and this is the other thing too. When, you know, you would think that you could do all the black, you know, all little details with the black and then jump to the white. But for me, again, it's a entertaining thing to be able to jump back and forth between both. Like, again, you get bored doing just black, so jump to the white and you can pop in some of the highlights and all of a sudden you're like, hey, yeah, all right, that's cool. There he is. Simon knows because he is the TV guide. All right, that's dark. This edge of the opening of the motor is white. It's beautiful out today. It's probably mid 80s, and it's you know, I have a dehumidifier here, which really dries things out. And so you have 80 degrees or 85 degrees outside and really nice and dry down here, and the paint will let you know that. So like what I'm doing right now, where I'm doing these really like little tiny thin lines with the paintbrush dries so fast. It's like you go from, you know, being able to just like paint for a few minutes with it to like being totally dried. So it just takes us kind of a change of gears, I guess. You know, you get used to painting one way, you have to be willing to kind of change with what's going on, and that's huge. You know, it's one of the things I was talking with Scott about as a new airbrusher or a new painter, when you're dealing with the way that the paint works and how it changes all the time, it can really be aggravating. You want a simple solution. You want something that's going to be consistent. Like, oh, if I add 6 drops of this to this, it'll always spray the same way, or it'll always work the same way. It's not like that at all. Humidity has a big deal to do with it. Temperature has a big deal to do with it. Just so many different variables. You have to be able to be okay moving around. And if something works today, it may not work exactly the same way tomorrow, but you can bounce it around. Have you ever tried the retarder? I found it really useful in certain times of years. It's funny you mentioned that, because I did ask about the retarder from way back. Before I got this wet palette, I was looking for some way to keep the paint open on the palette longer, because I was using a glass palette. And I'd put a drop of paint out. I'd be able to use that drop of paint for maybe about 10 minutes in the summertime, and then it would be this little disc of paint. So I talked to Dennis at Createx, and I'm like, I really want to maybe mess with the retarder. I ended up not doing anything with it, because obviously if you add it to the paint, it's not going to dry anywhere, you know, if you spray with it. So I just kind of said, well, you know what? Instead of learning, you know, a new product and, you know, going back and forth and testing it till it worked the way I needed it to work, I'm just going to stick with, you know, the loss of paint and having to palette it out every 5 seconds. So that's kind of my story with the retarder. But yeah, that's awesome that it works for you. I never really put the time into it, but that's what it's there for. So I say all that, and then, like I said, this wet palette came along from Redgrass, and that basically solved that problem without even an effort. Circles. I know we're sliding around. I'm trying to keep this in one spot. Maybe I should get another jumbo magnet. Do I have another jumbo magnet? I do, over here. I'm pushing against this shell and it's rolling around. Here we go. Enzo, what's up, buddy? Yeah, I'm beating the crap out of the edge of this, so that's, I'm gonna have to figure something out with that. So my plan is, well, we'll see. My plan was to, I was going to actually head out to Wisconsin this weekend, but that's changed a little bit. So I'm going to be around here this weekend, which means, I mean, I was going to do the feed anyway. I was just going to do the feed from Wisconsin. So Monday I'll do the feed from here as normal. See if I can turn that a little bit. Or you know what I could do? I'll get you guys more of a, let's try more down, looking down on it. What am I thinking here? Oh, sorry. You guys are going to go for a ride. I'm going to do this for a second so you're not going for a ride. So Monday's normal. Monday's from here. And then I might, I'm still hoping to get to Massachusetts. That may change as well. And either way, if I go to Massachusetts, I'll still do the feed from Massachusetts. Maybe do the feed from Keith Hansen's shop again, which is always fun. And so that's, again, that's pretty much up in the air right now. I'm still trying to work out the logistics of all that while we figure things out here. But regardless, we'll still have feeds and stuff. So, all right, let's try this. I know you guys are like, what the hell is going on here? Ooh, I promise it might be worth it. There we go. Let's refocus this. This way you guys are more right over it. There we go. Now I'm just gonna keep my big head out of the way. Bobby, I usually stay with my mom. So that's kind of ground zero for the family. Although my daughter has a new place, so might be doing that too. All right, so I just jumped back to black. Again, there's no rhyme or reason for it. Just whatever makes me happy at that moment. But yeah, we'll see. I'm looking forward to if I can pull it off, if the timing is right and everything works out well. I'll be there for not this weekend but next weekend, and then I'll be there for a week. Simon, thank you. She's doing awesome. Yeah, she's doing good. So again, we have our big family reunion this week from Saturday. So it'd be nice to be able to get in there for that. But like I said, things have been kind of crazy, so that is still tentative for me. Yeah, I really should have sprayed that. What was I thinking? It was dumb. Again, you know, the more I handle this, I'm banging up the outside edge of this. It's, like I said, it's not a big deal because I can just respray it. It's just one more step where I could have avoided the whole thing by just giving this a good, like 3 or 4 coats of satin. That's what I'm going to do in the end anyway. I'm going to spray the whole thing with UVLS satin. So this would have just been the first like 2 or 3 coats, which would have been good. Bobby, yeah, so I'm going to definitely, if I get out, I'm going to head over to Keith Hansen's shop a bunch. He doesn't know it yet, but he's helping me with this project that I'm working on now, which is the kind of why the time has been moved up on it for me, because I got to have it done before I leave, if I do leave. So I'll be spending some time at Keith Hansen's shop. And then there is a rumor that if I get up there, maybe I'll invade Scott McKay's shop for his feed on Thursday, not a week from today, 2 weeks from today, which would be a lot of fun because be nice to be able to harass him. Adrian. Okay, so it's a 30 millimeter shell, which is with ammunition. That's the opening right at the seam. So if you measure across the seam, that's 30 millimeters. The actual size of the compartment is about 1.75 inches across. And then the whole shell itself is about 12 inches long, which is, again, that all comes out of that gun right in the front of the A10. And 65 of these come out every second. Think about that. 65 of these. It's a bad day for any tank that this is aimed at. Yeah, Bobby, he's North Shore, or as we say in Massachusetts, he's in the North Shore. Yeah, he's where is he? His old shop was in Peabody. Can't remember. I always get it mixed up where his place is. But yeah, he's up there on the other side, on the New Hampshire border. I can start as soon as I get close. It immediately starts or starts. Marge loves it, but all right. What am I doing? I'm painting stuff. All right, I'm going to work on these the opening of these engine nacelles. They circles suck. It's just one of those things. I can't cut them small enough to get them perfectly round, so I got to do all the adjusting to them after. But the good news is once I get it, I don't have to worry about them anymore. So it's just a kind of a back and forth, just keep picking at them, like do the black side, and then if I go too far, then come back in on the white side until they're round. That's really the goal. Yeah, I'm knocking all this off. That's all right. Yeah, my relatives have a field day, and one of my cousins is from Georgia. So he's not from Massachusetts, although his dad is my dad's brother, or was. They've both passed, but he's never lived here. He's always lived. They were living in Maryland first, and then he moved down to Georgia. So he gets a kick out of the accent a lot. So he also gets a kick because Marge is from Wisconsin, so they obviously don't have the Boston accent either. But all my relatives call her Marge. So my cousin Jimmy loves that. So he screams Marge all the time. Spray Max Clear. Dan, I don't. I have, well, Spray Max Clear is, I have some actually, I shouldn't say that. And the car wrap, the 2K Clear and all that. I have terrible luck with that stuff. And I'm going to immediately tell you that it's user error, 100% user error. I just never put the time into really getting it down. Everyone's having these great results with it, and I have better luck with just mixing the clear and 2-part and spraying it and all that fun stuff. So I really want to get it down though, especially with car rep. They've been so awesome. I did the helmet for their SEMA booth last year, and they've been great. But I just haven't put the time into getting. And I know it's easy. And again, I'll stress it again. It's 100% user error. The way I was putting it down and all that fun stuff. But I really want to. It would be nice to be able to get all that down, because having a 2K Clear in a can is just. It's just awesome. The other thing that would be nice is to get into some of the clear armor stuff. That UV catalyzed, essentially, the UV clear. That would be a lot of fun too. Oh, this paint is drying so fast. That's all right though. Yeah, Dan, you got me all thinking about it again. Like I said, I have 2 cans of the car rep stuff. I'm going to I could just do a bunch of like throwaway panels and mess around with it. Still, I didn't know you lived. Oh, wait. Oh, you live 7 miles from Worcester. I'm sorry, Worcester. That's awesome. Oh, wait. No, Astor, you live in Worcester, England, UK. Yes, basically, Astor, that's what happened. The colonists were too busy trying not to die, so they named everything after everything after the UK. I mean, everyone knows York and New York and all that, but yeah, Hampshire, New Hampshire, and Suffolk, and yeah, all of our counties, Plymouth, all that. It's all they ripped everything off from the UK. Yeah. So Astral, one thing that I found though is oftentimes the UK or the Massachusetts version of the UK town is not the same. Like something tells me that Worcester in the UK is much nicer than Worcester in Massachusetts. And my apologies to anyone who lives in Worcester, but yeah, it's like Dorchester too. I know there's a Dorchester in the UK, and from what I understand, it's very lovely. Dorchester in Boston, it's a suburb of Boston, not the greatest place. So, and I could say that because that's where my old studio was. So I'm a Dorchester or dot rat when it comes to that kind of thing. Yes, not far from the Cape. So I grew up about 25 miles south of Boston on the South Shore, and so yeah. And then I lived in Weymouth, which is I think another UK ripoff name. So Weymouth is right on the right below or right above Plymouth, which is it. It's 50-50. Oh, is it? Oh, good. And you know what? Honestly, Simon, Dorchester is, like I said, Dorchester is a direct suburb of Boston. It's still within Boston city limits, and it's right. It's southern, like on the southern shore of Boston, and anytime you have waterfront, it originally was very industrial-ish and not the best place in the world. But if you have anything on the water, you guys know. Eventually it becomes very valuable property, and that's kind of what's going on with Dorchester now. Everything, it went from being kind of a nasty suburb, just kind of a, whatever, to now they're building all these amazing condos, and the University of Massachusetts is in Dorchester. It's right on the water. The John F. Kennedy Library is right there. So yeah, there will be a time very soon where Dorchester will not be the punching bag of South Boston. Bobby, that's not surprising just because Plymouth is Plymouth. That's just it's just such a tourist attraction, and it's such a good spot, being relatively close to Boston. So yeah, and Simon, like I said, Dorchester, there's a bunch of factories along the water, but those, I guarantee, they're going to get priced out. They're going to get this stupid offer for their land, and all that's going to be super expensive condos. It's what happened across the the little inlet where there's Quincy, which is again south of Boston, and all that area is the same thing. It's all originally was like it's just kind of a suburb, but now it's like it's the place to be. Yeah, Bobby, that's it. And like I said, I mean, I was hearing the stories about these companies that were in Dorchester that were offered just insane amounts of money for their properties. And why would you not take it if you're making bread in Dorchester? Just take the money and go build your bakery somewhere else, and or don't build a bakery at all. Just retire. Yep, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. still on black. So you guys, like I said, it's not, this part can be kind of, this is certainly the nitpicky part, but again, this is the part that really, I mean, all the money is in this right here. You know, if any of this isn't done, this is really where the details come from and what makes the painting work. And this is the part that allows me to fix a bunch of things that are wrong. And it's just, it prods along, it takes the longest time. And then, like I said, it's a lot of back and forth, but it really is the payoff. I also can't rotate this too often because of the feed. You know, you guys are watching if I have to, but normally I just keep rotating this to make it a little bit easier for me to get certain lines. But yeah. But actually, no, we're doing all right. We're pulling it together. Price on the Cape are through the roof. Property, yeah, Bobby, yeah, it's nuts. And yeah, exactly, for a three bedroom house. I was showing Marge, and that's not only the Cape too. Obviously, the Cape is vacation land, so you know anything's super expensive down there. But yeah, again, anywhere on the water, actually anywhere in Massachusetts. So there's one of the galleries I had was in a town called Cohasset, and Cohasset is right on the water and extremely affluent. There's a bunch of super expensive mansions right on the water and all that stuff. But there are also houses that are like a split level ranch, you know, farther in, not right on the water. So since the gallery that I was in was over there, which is a nice gallery to be in, there's a place right next door that, hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Place right next door that, like a barber. So right next to the gallery. So that's where I was getting my hair cut. So, you're talking to the guy, and this guy has had this barber, this barber shop in Cohasset for years and years and years and years. And he was telling me, he looked at me, he said, there isn't a house in Cohasset now that sells for less than $1 million. So think about that, like a split level ranch, like Bobby said, like 4 bedrooms, 1.5 baths, just a random 60s built split level ranch, $1 million. Why? Because location, it's in a beautiful town, It's insane. Simon, yeah, it did. Still does. Great white sharks in down the Cape. Gonna need a bigger boat. I love the Cape, and it's funny. My oldest son and I both share, or like I'm not a huge. All right, so here's the thing. So I'm not a huge beach person. Like I don't like to get the umbrella and pack a cooler and go lay on the beach. But I love the ocean. So as a result, I love the Cape. I love all parts of the Cape. Yeah, Asphalt, that's the other thing too. With houses not so much in Cohasset because it's not a all right, so the Cape has a lot of like swimming beaches. Cohasset isn't like that. Cohasset has a lot of rocky beaches, rocky waterfront. It's perfect for your $1 million house up on a cliff, that kind of thing. But again, it's like Bobby was saying, from Cohasset, you're right there. You go south and you're at Plymouth, or you go north and you're almost in Boston. So it's just in a great place. Yeah, Simon. If you go, there is a lot of just go all you can go all the way down the end of the Cape. If you go all the way down the end of the Cape, that's a trip and a half because of the Provincetown is it's a trip. It's very colorful, but the farther down the Cape you go, so for those who don't know, Cape Cod is that little arm that sticks out of Massachusetts into the Atlantic Ocean, and it looks like an arm, an elbow, like kind of making a muscle. So Simon, if you do go, just don't go over the bridge. There are bridges to get to it because there's, well, Cape Cod Canal cuts it off from the rest of Massachusetts. You have to take a bridge to get to it, or two bridges, one of two bridges. Right over the bridge is Falmouth, which is a really nice town. Again, probably stolen from the UK. And super crazy touristy. Like that's because it's right over the bridge. Everyone just goes over the bridge and you're down the Cape and you do whatever. But if you go farther down, there's less, it's still busy, but there's less of that. And it's just nice. You live in Falmouth. So there you go, Bobby. What's 28 like in the summer? My uncle and aunt and cousins live in Falmouth too. And we used to always vacation in Falmouth, as most people do. So yeah, there's one main, there are several roads, but there's one main road that goes through. And yeah, it's insane. Don't try to take a exactly. You're gonna make me want to go down the Cape when I get back. Yeah, like Dennis is really nice if you keep going down. Bobby can tell you, I'm sure, because he lives there. The good secret spots. Not that any place is secret down there, but yeah, we used to spend a lot of time down there. That's awesome. Yeah, Bobby, that'd be amazing. All right, the teeth in this thing. The teeth are a perfect example of not looking at the big copy and looking at the small copy, because I know what the teeth look like and I want to make them look like that, but that's not the way they come across when you reduce them, in size. So I'm gonna just kind of go by the photocopy that I have more than what I know they look like. Like that. I'll put the eye in after. I missed it. And Bobby, real good friends of mine have a house down in Yarmouth, which is another favorite place to go. Oh, yes, definitely, Bobby. I went to school in, I went to UMass Dartmouth, but originally the school I went to was in New Bedford. So yeah, I'm down for that 100%. All right, so here's the thing, guys. When I left off on Monday, I was like, blah. There's so much work that needs to be done to this. At this point, though, I'm feeling really good now, and this is how these things usually go. Like they seem like a train wreck, and then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, hey, that's not so bad. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold off there. And we've been here just about an hour, which is perfect. And actually, I am thrilled, more than thrilled, with what is going on with this. Yeah, because really all that's left to do is I got to put the eye in. Got to do a couple more like shading things with the airbrush. I still have it in here. So for instance, like the engine over here. Oh, Bobby, that's awesome. Yeah, oh God. I had way too much stuff when I was down there. There was a little again, right on the water. There was a little, I don't remember the name of the store, mom and pop type store. And oh my God, the stuff. I'm positive the woman, the wife who owned it, was making half the stuff or all the stuff that was in it. I'm amazed that I didn't weigh like 800 pounds when I finished school. So again, a little bit of airbrushing on certain parts like the engine, and then, you know, I got to darken the body a little bit. And yeah, I think it's going to work out. Now, here's the thing too. I was talking about the clouds. That's going to help kind of lock everything together, because what I'm going to have to do is I want to airbrush a little bit of like shading on the trailing edge of these wings, because right now they're too white. So I'm going to do a little bit of airbrushing on the back of the wings, but when I do that, it's going to be closer in value to the sky. So that's, you know, it'll kind of make them disappear in a way. So by adding white clouds behind there, I'll be able to pull that back out, but still have that curve of the wing. So just a little, you know, a little extra. And then on the other side of it too, like on the top of the engines and the tail, I don't want the clouds there. So I'll just kind of trail the clouds like through here, come across the body type of thing where it's dark, and then that'll pop everything off and also allow me to kind of do a little bit of cleanup on the outside edge here. But this is looking really good. So what's going to happen from here, again, when it's done, I'm going to spray the whole thing with UVLS satin, just hose the whole thing down. I'm going to have to scuff up the you know, the plastic bullet part of it, this part, but it'll work out, I think. And that will retain all these cool serial numbers and letters and all that fun stuff, and be ready to rock. So there we go. All right, I don't know where that camera is going to be, but we will give it a shot and see. I think the big camera is going to be right. Yeah, it is right in the way. That's all right though. So that's what I got. All right, so again, the schedule is normal. I've preloaded all the Harley paintings up through the end of the month, so you can catch all of those. We're making good time on that. There's some good stuff happening with that. The Tech Tuesdays will all be up. If you've been subscribed to me, you might have noticed the short videos that I post every day. I thought, you know, everyone's posting weird, goofy shorts, which isn't really right, not their actual shorts, but short videos. So I took the different approach with it. Every day I post up a new painting, so you get to see a whole bunch of paintings. So if you go to the front page on my channel, you can actually watch all the shorts, and those are paintings over the last 20 years. So that's going on too, and everything's going to roll right along. There won't be a break. So that's what I got. All right, I'm going back to the other project now. You guys are amazing. I love you to pieces. Be good to one another. Have a great weekend. And I'll catch you next time. All right, guys. Have a good one.